Shrouded in secrets and legends, Lake Bedzdonnoye is a mystical place that is surrounded by forests and swamps. It seems as if the lake is protected by nature itself, so it is almost impossible to find it by chance. What this lake is famous for, and what secrets it keeps, we are going to find out in this episode. There is a small reservoir located 8 kilometers away from Solnechnegorsk, near Moscow. The shape of the reservoir is close to a perfect circle, and thanks to the legends associated with it, it is one of the most mysterious places in Russia. Its phenomenon is reflected in the name, under which this lake is listed on the map of the Moscow region, Bedzdonnoye. Perhaps today this reservoir would not be widely known, if the poet Alexander Blok had not once become interested in it. The Shakhmatovo estate, which he visited every year since childhood, is located nearby. Once in summer, while walking through surrounding fields, Blok met a local forester. The conversation turned by chance to a small lake in the middle of a forest. He said that, according to the peasants, the lake has no bottom, for which it got its name. No matter how daredevils tried to get to him, they could not find the firmament. On the other hand, shipwrecks were allegedly repeatedly found on the shore, although there has never been any shipping in these places. On one of these boards, according to rumors, there was even an inscription, Santa Maria, but one of the locals hid it at home, and no one else saw it. The fishermen assured that once they caught a token of a foreign sailor in the lake. "This is the outlet of the ocean," said the forester. Impressed by the story of the forester, the poet returned to the estate and hurried to write everything down in his diary, which has survived to this day. The mysterious finds and the lack of the bottom required an explanation, and the villagers came to the conclusion that the lake was connected with the oceans underneath. When guests dropped in at Shakhmatovo, the poet enthusiastically told them about the mysterious reservoir and led them to it, in the hope of discovering the wreckage of some kind of ship on the shore, sunken at the other end of the earth. Proofs of these legends appeared in the 21st century. A U.S. Navy life jacket was found in the waters of the Bedzdonnoye. It had a first and last name initials on it. Someone from the locals made inquiries, and it turned out that this American sailor had recently disappeared in the area of the Red Sea. Blok was married to the daughter of Dmitry Ivanovich Mendeleev, whose house was also nearby, in Boblov. Unlike the poet, the scientist thought rationally, avoided sentimentality, and of course did not believe in the underground portal connecting the lake that was located near Moscow with the world ocean. According to the legend, having heard enough tales from his son-in-law about the event and mysterious boards, the great chemist armed himself with a large coil of rope and went to the reservoir. There he got into a boat, tied a heavy cobblestone to a rope, and swum into the middle of the lake in order to measure its depth. The length of the cable was 97 meters, however the homemade instrument has never reached the bottom. It may seem strange, but hydrographers still do not have an accurate information about the depth and nature of the topography of the bottom of this lake. On military topographic maps of the middle of the 20th century, the lake was indicated as 100 to 150 meters deep. In the scientific literature, figures were up to 157 meters. I must say that for a reservoir near Moscow this has a huge value, since all lakes in the Moscow region, as a rule, have a depth of no more than 40 meters. Divers have repeatedly tried to penetrate the abyssal to the maximum possible depth. But all dives were limited to 4 to 5 meters, then there was a thick silty suspension, where the water is saturated with organic particles, and visibility drops so much that it is impossible to see the switched-on lantern at arm's length. In the language of divers, such seal is called false bottom. Divers are convinced that a layer of water follows again and again. Thus, the lake looks like a layer cake. Diving into this sticky and viscous substance causes fear among divers, therefore, no one dares to dive further than this level. Divers admit that they saw a tunnel under the roots of trees that grow near, that goes deep into the depths. Who knows, perhaps the remains of ships and other mystical artifacts of the bottomless lake also emerged from there. Scientists were also interested in the mystery of the reservoir. The Solnechnegorsk branch of the Russian Society for Protection of Historical and Cultural Monuments organized the expedition. Studies have shown that the upper part of the lake basin is represented by a water column of 5 to 6 meters, under which there is a layer of organic accumulations, called sapropel in geology. At the first stage, scientists used the simplest shock, rope type of drilling chiseling with construction scrap. The maximum depth of penetration into sapropel was 6 meters 40 centimeters under the water column. The problem is that sapropel did not allow to penetrate deeper. Researchers drew a conclusion: if you put 3 dozen cotton mats and start pounding them with a pointed crowbar, you won't be able to reach the bottom and your efforts will go out in cotton wool. Scientists examined materials taken from the reservoir, and came to the conclusion that the lake is at least 12,000 years old. Currently there are several hypotheses about the origin of the lake. According to the researchers, the most probable is karst collapse. According to it, the lake without a bottom was formed as a result of the failure of rocks that lay above the void. For example, in Mexico, in the state of Yucatan, there is a huge number of such wells. There they are called cenotes, and are very popular tourist sites. In width, such cenotes reach small sizes, but the depth is quite impressive. The immersion of 2 drivers in 1994 led to the death of one of them, when the depth reached 282 meters. Later, with the help of a robot, it was possible to measure the depth and fix a value of 319 meters. Researchers believe that when something homogeneous falls through, a shape close to a circle appears, like a hole. Just such as the shape of this lake. However, it is worth mentioning another legend. Residents of the villages closest to the bottomless lake, Bertlino and Sergivka, say that, according to their ancestors, a monastery once stood on this place. However, his brethren did not differ in piety, and at some point the monastery with sinners went under the water. Maybe it's for the best that you can't get to the bottom of the lake. Please write in comments what you think about it. Many scientists are struggling to unravel the mystery of the bottomless lake. They are engaged in researching karst formations. Despite its long existence, Lake Bedzdonnoye is not as popular natural attraction as other lakes in the Moscow region. Nevertheless, this place will be a real find for people who are interested in mysticism and appreciate wildlife. That's all from me. If you enjoyed it, please like this video, and subscribe to the channel. See you again.